started as a curriculum and instructional coach. Because of my TFI experience, I really thought the school could do a lot more. So I set up something called the School Transformation Project. So I was heading that. And finally, I'm the head of education strategy and learning, and I work along with the leaders, decide, thank you so much, decide what the school should focus on and how we just get from good to great. If I had to choose two words, I'm helping them like really maximize their potential and doing the same with my school that I work with as well. So that's about it for me. Now, Revati, if you could introduce.
You have to use this when you speak. All right. Hi, my name is Revati. I was a 2011 Teach for India fellow. One of the very few fellows who did their fellowship in 2 cities. So in the first year of my fellowship, I taught in Bombay. In the second year of my fellowship, Chennai had started. Teach for India Chennai had started. So I moved to Chennai. Taught in a private school, low-fee private school in Bombay. Taught in a government school. These are my beautiful 3rd grade kids in Chennai government school. I did a bunch of things. I think in the past 13 years since I done the fellowship, so won't bore you with details. Maybe we'll get to know each other a little bit more through the session. But I think if 3 words had to describe who I am, I think I'm a learner. I think everything I've done in my life, I wanted to like learn more, see what is out there that I can derive most sort of learning from. I'm an educator. I think I'm not a teacher anymore, but I think I continue to sort of facilitate. I continue to sort of work with children, work with teachers. And then finally, I think I'm a mother. I think the hardest role I think I've ever done, and I continue to do every day. I've got 7-year-old twins, so it's been a journey. And I think finally, I think what I stand for is, I think, public education. I feel like no country in this world has gotten excellent education to all children without fixing their public schools and government schools. So I'm a huge champion for like ensuring that government schools get better. So I was working with the governments for a couple of years. Now I work with Teach for India, and I manage 4 of their sites: Chennai, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, and Pune. So that's a little bit about me. But yeah, excited to sort of get to know all of you today and spend time. 3 big things that we're going to do today. One is, I think we're going to first engage in a little bit of discussion about why is it important for us to think about effective learning and leadership, and why all of us here, why we signed up for this session. So then we'll get into a little bit of the what. Like at Teach for India in the past 15 years, we've found some things that we feel like work when we are thinking of effective learning and leadership experiences. So we'll share a little bit about what we have learned in the past 15 years of us having done this work, having failed a lot, having succeeded some. What are some 5 big principles? And finally, I think the 3rd section, we'll get into a little bit of work time. Each of you, plays a role in the alumni ecosystem, works with children, works with schools. So we'll get into a little bit of work time, where we'll try and see how you can implement and sort of take back these 5 principles in the work that you currently do, in whatever role you're currently doing. Yeah. So that's just so it's going to be why, what, and then how. Yeah. Okay. I think before we get into that, would love to hear a couple of responses. Why is it important for us as a group of like alumni, fellows, educators who are working towards ensuring that educational inequity is not there in India? Why is it important for us to learn about effective learning and leadership? Yes.
So if we just look at learning and leadership, and
Yeah.
if we look at effective learning and leadership, I think the difference is that the engagement and the retention. So I could walk into a classroom today as So I could walk into the classroom today as a teacher, just stand in front of the class, not move around at all, teach and leave. So I could say, hey, I have taught the kids, they should have learned. I have been a leader in the classroom. But when I use the word effective, that means I become a facilitator in the classroom, leading maybe thought knowledge, leading processing, thus increasing engagement and learning. So I think that's the importance. It increases retention and engagement.
Okay, Akash, I'm going to push you a little bit. Why is it important to increase engagement and learning, do strong facilitation? Why is that important?
Because then you can create much more creative leaders in the future.
And why is that important?
Because that's the only way we can function as a society.
Okay, so the reason you feel like effective learning and leadership experience is important is you feel strong learning experience, strong facilitation in the classroom is important, and that's what is going to help us create the creative leaders that the world requires.
Yes, yes.
Why else? Why is it important for us as a group of educators to really think of every learning experiences that we are creating for anybody, any stakeholders, that it has to be really effective? Why is it important for us?
And we really look at the words us as a group.
Yeah.
Why is that really important? All of us in this room. There are no wrong answers, so anybody can share.
Yes.
So, one, I think it's not just the teacher who's there in the classroom. I feel like we are a huge group of people, and each role is so important. And in order for it to like work effectively, we need to know about each person and their role. And unless everyone is working together, then I feel like it won't result in anything unless we're all, working in accordance to our roles. Yeah. So I do think that in order to teach, you need to learn first, and you need to learn how to teach so that you can be like as effective as possible.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Anybody else? Yes, Varun.
For me, just getting everyone together with a common vision makes a huge difference. I understand everyone who's in the field of education today comes with their own ideas. Each idea could be very unique from someone else's, but eventually the end goal is to reduce the inequity we see within the education space. For me personally, I feel getting together helps us clearly differentiate between literacy and education. Literacy is all about making kids learn how to read and write, but education is where they actually apply what they learn. Today, if in spite of boasting of close to 80% literacy in the country, if we still throw trash on the street and if we still struggle with daily needs, I don't think our education, I think we've just worked with literacy and not education. Bringing all of these together with one vision is going to make a difference. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Anybody else? Any last sort of final thoughts? Anything on your mind about why effective learning and leadership? Yes, please. Yeah.
I'm also thinking of the need to change not just the elementary education or the school education, but when they get out of this a TFI ecosystem or even the school education system, where are they landing? Are they still able to apply all these learnings in the real world? Is something that I'm thinking of.
Excellent. All right. What we'll do is I'm going to flash a couple of numbers on the screen, and you have to guess what that number might be. Your hint is education. Yeah, obviously that's what I'm going to do. Okay. What might this number be? So that's 165 million.
Kids in school.
Perfect. So that's the number of school-going kids in India. Yeah. So that's the number of children that are currently in school. Yeah. What might this be? Sorry. Just yes, it's fine. Number of schools. Okay. Number of schools in India. What else might it be? It's not the number of schools. Out of school. No, thankfully, it's not that high. Yeah. Yeah. It's not.
So we can read at the grade level.
No. Maybe we should take one more. No. So these are. Sorry.
Students are not going to school.
No. So these are the number of kids in private low-fee private schools. So almost, let's say, 60% of our 2 or maybe 5% goes to like high-income schools that we have. 60% of the country goes to government schools. But these are the 10 crore children are the ones that are studying in like low-fee private schools, paying some amount of money for education. What might this be? 95 lakhs. Somebody had this answer for the previous question.
Age of the children who needs age.
No.
Number of schools.
No? Somebody said teachers, yeah. So that's, yeah. So these are the number of teachers, total number of teachers that are there serving the 26.5 crore. So do the math of, what is the ratio, how many teachers for how many kids, right? All right. What is this?
Number of teachers in low-fee private schools.
Yeah. But, yeah. It is. Fantastic. Good logical deduction there, Akanksha. So these are the number of teachers that are teaching in low-fee private schools currently in India, serving the 10. What is this? We had this number, I think, flashed a couple of times, but maybe it is for the staff and not for the alumni. But take a wild guess. I think your guess is Teach for India. Your hint is Teach for India.
Number of fellows.
Fantastic. So that's the number of fellows currently at this point of time across both years of both cohorts of the fellowship. These are the number of fellows that we have. How many? What might this number be? Children that TFI impacts. The number of children that these 1,100 fellows are teaching. And what is this?
That's the percentage of.
Perfect. the work that each of you is doing as alumni, as part of our community, as Teach for India directly impacting children. Actually, we are only impacting 0.01%, but it's through the movement, through our alumni, through ensuring that we are supporting alumni to start their own schools, reach the last child. I think we are ensuring that all children in this country get an excellent education. And that's why I think it's so important for us who are thinking about like 99.9% of children in this country to really think of what does it mean to build an effective learning experiences for all children and all stakeholders, right? So that's just a little bit of like why I think this session is important, why each of you as you go back and every learning experience that you're creating, you're thinking of, is this really helping me reach all children? Is this an effective learning experience for this particular stakeholder? Yeah?
So, thank you for sharing in terms of why we feel it's really important for every person in this room and beyond this room as well to really engage as movement builders, right? At the same time, you guys signed up for the session, so we would love to hear from you in terms of why did you pick this session and what is your why behind coming and figuring out and co-learning in terms of how to facilitate an effective learning space. So if you could just quickly turn and talk to a partner you haven't spoken to as yet, and then we'll hear some large group responses.
So we spoke about overall as a community.
Yes.
Now I think personally,
Your vibe.
what brings us here? Sitara, you have to apparently you have to like hold it.
Can you just have you switch?
Sorry. Yeah. You guys can start sharing. Yeah.
So, thank you for share. Guys, 1, 2. And finally, with the hand action, 1, 2. Thank you. All right, if we can just hear from a couple of people so that we just get to know each other a little bit more in this room. Do you want to go ahead and share what you said?
So looking at the percentage, I feel that we are already spending quite a much less time with the students that we need to. And if that time is not being utilized in the best way, then I think it's not good. So to make sure that the time which is being used is effective and it's making the best use of time, I think it is very, very important to learn the effective tools. And yeah, that's what brings me to the session. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So he works at a school and like he was saying, our percentage is so low. So he wants to make the most effective use of every single minute that we spend with students. If I can hear from somebody from this section. Do you want to go ahead?
So I'm a supporter of TFI and the circle. Why have I chosen to be here? I was just interested to know what the session was going to be all about. And I think that, being effective and learning these questions and how to approach can be used in many different contexts, not only in the classroom. So,
Absolutely. Thank you. And just one last person they want to share?
I just want to add on to what she had said. So my PM had actually told me this, that, the 5 magic questions is not just for the classroom. It is for anything and everything. So even like for me, like what I want to do later, like my leadership journey, am I attaining my mastery, all of that, these are like the criteria you can really delve into to see how you have grown. So yeah, I think it's not just for a classroom, but you can apply it anywhere. So it's great to know.
Absolutely. This is something that can be applied to our lives. And so we'll get straight into it now that we have understood why everyone is over here.
Okay, so what I'd love for you to do is think of the most effective learning experience that you've had, right? It could be at TFI, it could have been at Institute, it could be before TFI, it could have been after TFI, whatever role you're playing. When you think of the learning experience that really moved you, you're like, man, I really remember that session. I remember what we learned, the facilitator was so good, and here are the things that happened in that session that made it effective. So when you're thinking of that session, when you're thinking about the learning experience, would love for you to think of what made that experience memorable, what makes you remember it till today. It may have been many years ago, but you're like, that really pushed my thinking, that really made me think. And what did the facilitator do that made it really strong, right? So you're thinking of the most effective learning experience, what made it memorable, and what did the facilitator do that made you feel, that makes you remember it even till date, and whatever they taught, you remember, yeah? So, yeah, would love you to think independently, maybe take a couple of seconds, maybe think about it, and then we'll come back and share, yeah?
And we would love for people to just call out a few things in terms of small phrases. So I'll give you my example. I think for me it was the TFI Institute, which I did as a fellow. And yes. And if I look at what made that session or like the entire experience really strong was the field part, the environment. that they created in terms of the possibility, in terms of the reality, in terms of the stories of the students. And so I think that's something which is really important for effective facilitation. If we can just have people raise their hands and quickly share in a sentence or phrase.
Real world applications.
Perfect, real world application, so that you know that you have something of value that you've taken from this session. It's applicable to your life and the world. Yeah.
Connecting pictures to self, so they just given random pictures and get just connected to like self and creating stories and so.
Okay, so that's the method in terms of how they did it. Okay, they had various pictures. They made amazing connections.
So the facilitator, I remember, was connecting the incident to her own life experience,
right.
and also was very humorous. They were joking, so that made me remember, and was really interesting.
Okay, so a lot of connections. You really got to know the facilitator, and it was a fun session as well because you said there were a lot of jokes.
For me, it will be making me feel important, that I am very important for this particular work, and then me feeling that connection, oh, I am somebody who can actually bring change.
Wow, yeah, that's really powerful. That each person in the
A
session.
little similar, where the teacher is not the one on the stage speaking a lot. There is, they just pave the way for the students to come to the knowledge than them talking about it.
Absolutely, as a facilitator and bringing out whatever the students know, right?
Just ensuring that every person there had played a little significant role in the
Yes,
session. Not
absolutely.
leaving anyone behind.
Amazing, making sure that everybody is engaged, everybody realizes.
Yeah, I think plus one to all of you, but I also remember this one time our PYP coordinator, Primary Years Program Coordinator, was taking a session on how to take an inquiry-based learning class. And I remember walking into the classroom, there was nothing on the board, no objective of the classroom, but there was a provocation corner where there was some material kept. And she ignited our curiosity. I was invested in the classroom. I knew I want to learn something. There's something new going to come. And she kept asking the audience, what do you think you're going to learn about and what are you excited about? So any space that ignites my curiosity and brings in what I want to learn, I think excites me a lot. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Igniting curiosity. I'll just hear a couple of responses from here and then we go. Anybody has gone? Yes, you want to share?
There's something which I can share.
No problem at all. Would you want to share?
Very similar to that, I had various music teachers. I had a guitar teacher who just said, what would you like to play? And so it started with what I hoped to get, and then whatever the lessons would just come from that, and that was wonderful.
Okay, amazing. So thank you so much. We really want this to be a shared experience as well, right? And I'm sure it benefits all of you to also hear other people's responses. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pause. Revati has made a note of whatever you all have shared and we'll come back to that. But we're going to do a small activity where we look at what Teach for India really believes are the 5 magic principles or the 5 magic questions that really create an effective learning experience. So we're just going to hand over these small jigsaw puzzles, and if you could solve it in your group, we'll and then come back to it.
Yes. Sitara, if you could maybe 3 of them group together, maybe we give 3 of them. Who doesn't have one? Everybody has one? Alright guys, let's take the first. Who had, okay, can you read what the
Why are students learning what they're learning?
Fantastic, right? So I think the first thing, and I think many of you also spoke about this, you said sessions that really ignite curiosity, that tell you why you're there, or they make you feel important that actually I can do this work. So the first magic principle is, why must our stakeholders learn this? What is the purpose of the session for them, and why should they be a part of it, right? So we designed this for children, and then we said actually these 5 magic principles apply to any learning experience, any stakeholders that are there. So we'll just wait for our new participants to sit down. Okay, great. So I think the first magic principle is why. Why is learning something important? Why should our stakeholders be part of this? What is the purpose? So you think about any stakeholders, right? It could be a school leaders, it could be a parents in the community, it could be kids, it could be other fellows you may be facilitating for. The second one was integration. Who had that? Great. Can you read out the prompt for that, please?
Say this.
Excuse me.
Sorry, with the prompt. Yeah.
How will this help us advance on self, others, and India?
Great. How is it relevant for the stakeholders, and how would it help them advance self, others in India? Again, many of you shared, if the session helps me learn something about myself, if I know that there's a clear connection that I have, or there's a real world application for that. So is it relevant for me? Is it something that will help me learn something about myself, learn something about others, and it will help me learn something about the country, right? Who had mastery? Great. Can you please read out the prompt?
How will students showcase learning in and beyond the class?
Excellent, right? Which is to say, how will they apply this learning outside of the session? Whatever they're learning, whatever learning experience you are creating for the stakeholders, for the children, how will they apply it? Are there clear principles, clear steps that they've shared, that you've shared in the session on how they can master it, how they can take it outside of the classroom, and what they can do within the classroom? Yeah. Methods? Who had methods? Yes, please read the prompt.
What are the most fun, fast, and effective methods of learning?
Many of you, again, you mentioned this. You said when there is a lot of fun, when there's humor, when the facilitator brings in a personal connection to the session, and when things are memorable for you, right? The reason each of you remembers whichever session you were thinking about is because there's something the facilitator did that made it memorable, that was fun, it was effective for you, that you remember it so many years later. Finally, who had partnership? Can you?
How are students helping each other and me?
Great. I think again, some of you mentioned this to say, are the participants constantly learning from each other, right? So the facilitator is just there to facilitate that learning experience, but most of the learning happens when participants are learning from each other, right? So the final sort of principle is partnership, is to say, is the teacher ensuring that the children are learning, or the stakeholders? If there are, if you're doing like a PTM for a bunch of parents, are you ensuring that they're learning from each other? If you're school leaders, if they're teachers, whoever your stakeholder is, are you ensuring that they're constantly learning from each other and you're learning from them as well, right? And I think at Teach for India, we've been building in these principles into our training, into what we do with fellows for the past almost 18 months. And one of my biggest reflections has been, and why I think you shared this, is to say that these are not just principles for effective learning experiences, but for me as a leader as well, right? So when I'm thinking about each of these questions for myself, I think about anything that I do I know why I'm doing it? Why do I do what I do, and why is it important? Or anything that I'm doing, is it deepening some understanding that I have of myself, of others, or the problem of educational inequity in India? Am I constantly finding opportunities every day to practice what I want to get better at, right? So maybe there is something that you want to do, and then are you ensuring that you're constantly creating opportunities, finding opportunities to get better at that? Are you finding joy, purpose, fun, and meaning in the work that you're doing, right? Is it fun? Is it memorable, what you're doing? And finally, I think, am I constantly learning from other people, right? I think that's been really important for me, because there's only so much knowledge that each of us has. But I think the minute we start learning from others, people who think very differently, who have very different life experiences. So I think while I think at Teach for India, we started saying that this is something that will help us bring excellent education to all children. If every single lesson that our children experienced had each of these 5 principles embedded into the plan, what we have also discovered is that actually these are great life principles and life lessons for each of us also as we are on a leadership development journey. Yeah. I think Sitara would love for you to share. I think where have you, as you look at this, what are some reflections that you have?
In terms of my life?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I look at my life and how I've chosen the path that I'm on, I think something I hold very, very dear is purpose. So I knew that that's something which is really important. I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact and have a strong why. Similarly, I do want to contribute to something bigger than me. So I would say integration aspect is also really strong. If I have to be very honest, I think what I don't intentionally focus on is partnership. I just work with my school and our branches of schools. I get very, very involved. I'm in a little bit of a bubble. So, and I do think that impacts my work, because I could do better if I partnered more with other alum organizations. Similarly, I think fun is something I sometimes forget in terms of my work. So that's another principle that I think I need to intentionally focus on. So like that, we would love to hear from a couple of you, and then from Stephen as well. If any of y'all can share Which of these principles come naturally to you, which you hold really dear? And which are some principles that you think you should focus on more in terms of your life and leadership? Sure.
I think for me it's mostly purpose, methods and mastery. Integration, I mostly forget. I don't know, like it doesn't naturally come to me. Partnership, like maybe if I'm making the class, like I make sure that the partnership is there with the children, but I don't normally talk to people. I don't normally get to learn from the people. I hesitate. But other three, I think I'm quite well at it.
That's great reflections. And like Revati said, this is really useful for us to zoom out and think, because we gravitate naturally towards some, but some we need to intentionally work on. If I could just hear from one of you all who came in, which ones do you?
So I was also a fellow. I passed out this year. So I think what really stood out for me, like what I struggled with, I can talk about that first. I taught maths for grade 10. So I really struggled with the India bit. So that is, how can we integrate all math lessons and bring some aspect of India into it? That was really something I struggled with. But I think what I could do really well was the purpose, methods and partnerships bit. And there was a midway in terms of mastery, I would tell.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to share as well in terms of your life?
I think I struggle with integration too. I sometimes take certain things for granted, and I feel it is working the way it is, but sometimes I fail to reflect and see what I could have done to make this better. I'm working on it though, but I think something that's worked very well for me is partnership. I am somebody who tends to watch other people and learn from them. I've stolen a lot of ideas from other classrooms too, and that has definitely worked well. Yeah, I think integration is something that doesn't come naturally to me.
Yeah, Stephen, would you like to share? For your own life.
In my life, yeah, I think probably integration, if I interpret that, like the sort of deepening understanding of self and the sort of lenses we wear on all the others that, sometimes I have learned one thing from a person from an experience, and 5 years later I realize, oh, there was a totally different lesson there that if you'd asked me, I never would have seen it. And it comes from that second one, I think, which I find pretty hard to just like the inner work of understanding what lenses we're wearing, how we're interpreting what we're seeing around us.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we will get into work time.
Sure. So currently, what we did is we were.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
So I think as all of you were taking notes and as you were thinking about, as you were talking about the learning experience that is most effective for each of you, I was making, and I wasn't intentionally trying to do this. I was actually thinking that if some of what you're sharing doesn't fall into any of the 5 questions, I will actually park it as a miscellaneous. But actually, most of the things that each of you shared as your most effective learning experience, right? Whether you said that they helped you think of possibilities, there was feeling of connection and purpose, there was a provocation, it ignited your curiosity, which is a strong connection of purpose, right? A lot of integration also came through, right? Where you said there's a connection to self, there's a connection to real life. If I'm constantly thinking about how will kids connect this to what they are doing every single day, so a lot of integration as well. Many of you spoke about environment, stories, humor, things that you're excited about and learning that. You spoke about real world application, which falls under mastery. And then finally you said making kids talk to each other, the teacher being the facilitator, how we're ensuring that we're involving everybody. So actually all the things that you shared in terms of what stand out to you in terms of learning experiences, effective learning experiences that have been really memorable to you, they all fall under these 5 categories of saying it falls under purpose, integration. I think we've just given a name tagging what all of you already know and do intuitively. But we are saying this is a frame for us to think of when we are thinking of effective learning experiences. Thank you for reminding me.
And when Revati first shared this with me, looked a little simplistic on the surface level, okay? But the more I engaged with it, I understood that it is actually very deep and nuanced. Can I just give you one example of what I mean by that? So often when we look at a session, we always, of course, have an agenda, we have a purpose in terms of the session. But when I really looked at this, what is the purpose of the session for them, not for me? Right? Often when we do a class, we know why we are doing the class. Or if I am facilitating a space for leaders, I know what I want the leaders to take away. I am going to drive a particular agenda, a particular purpose. But this made me really pause and think about what is in it for them. What do my leaders need to learn? What do the school HMs need to learn? What do my parents need to learn, which is relevant for them? So if you really engage with these questions, you'll understand that there is a lot of depth and nuance to it. And that's why we also want to get into a small work time. And that ties straight into mastery. Right? So we're talking about applying the learnings that you have, because when you actually try and apply it, that's when it will really come alive and you'll understand what each of these principles mean. So what we're going to do is, we thought that we could work in 5 different groups based on the stakeholders that we normally work with. So we're going to project the next slide. And what would be great is if you just pick which of these stakeholders you usually work with or you would want to work on in this session, and then we're just going to do a small experience together. So if I start from that side, how many of y'all work with school teachers? Just raise your hands. Okay, so the school teachers group, if y'all can just make a circle over there. How many of y'all work with government officials, if any? Sure, there's currently you. We can pause if you want to join any other group. How many of y'all still work with students? Amazing. If y'all can form another group currently, so the 4 of y'all, you'll come here. Amazing. How many of us work with community, like parents and other people in our students' communities? As of now, nobody, no problem. How many of y'all work with school leaders? Sure, so the ones, yeah, okay, so we have a clear group for school teachers and students. The others, you can just choose which group you would want to be part of. So what would y'all like to, what would be most? Teachers? Yeah.
So there's students, there's school teachers, and then the third category is government officials, is it? Or they can choose?
Yeah, they can choose.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're working with students, right? Okay. What would you want to pick then? Teachers? Okay. Then I think it's...
Just 2 groups, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can, yeah.
Sure, then we can share and go deeper into this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so if you all want to just form a circle, what we have done is we have put a few prompts. So for example, school teachers, this is one example. So imagine you're facilitating a session for 100 government school teachers on the importance of child safety and keeping children safe. Either that or maybe a session in terms of how to manage student behavior in the most effective manner. Okay, so these are just 2 suggestions. Feel free to choose either, or if you want to come up with your own scenario, that's also fine. This group which is working with students, if I could have one of you all read it out.
You are designing a meaningful and holistic lesson plan to teach your children photosynthesis or cell structure and function or data analysis.
And depending on whatever subject you all are fun, just choose that in case you don't want to do this. So what you're going to do is we're going to project the 5 principles or the 5 questions. You're going to design a session very roughly, like a rough outline of a session plan. Maybe you can take like 10 to 15 minutes and it's a group work. So if you all could just brainstorm together and put down how you're going to really incorporate the 5 principles. There are sheets and pencils.
And session plan needs to have all 5 of these, right? It should be the lesson plan or session that you're designing. It should be purposeful, some connection to Self-Purpose India. There should be some opportunity for practice. It should be fun, so think of how you want to do that. And there should be partnership between the kids, yeah? You are which group? The team.
After that, we can start with the possibilities on the right-hand side.
We do have.
So then we pass me one lesson, one ladder. So can we?
No, I don't think we need 2 sessions.
First, one session time. Yes.
Somebody needs Put us for the bonus.
They've figured out, they're doing the student behavior part. You want to check if they're figured out. Let's just get water.
Totally totally impactful thing which they are experiencing right now. Suppose what's this thing law and creates law of dimension that every two objects which are present in this universe are attracted to each other. But then she is over here, who's sitting close to me, is not feeling an attraction, any force. Why is that? Is nothing. There is a thing that we are mathematical manager. Planet Earth is so students that is the reason me and planet Earth is much more greater.
Can I just kids understand why planets stay in their path when they're going around the sun. But you could also dig in some curiosity to help students understand what happened if it works from completely from what talk about what is happening in space right now. Talk about the International Space Station. How we can do this. How do you think? Imagine that there are plans to start one of the greatest space programs. How do you build the curiosity so that pretty much be the purpose of what space is to do? So now that we picked up a topic, let's get the purpose. What we want the students to do or develop an interest in our data. Are we asking them to develop a space program in India? Are we helping them understand changing weather patterns around the world because of gravitational forces, etc.? I just wanted to know how many of you here are comfortable discussing physics? Because I know physics teacher, so I can add. He's a physics student. Let's pick a topic that everybody can add as much as possible. It need not just be science. It could be something I may learn.
So like, very small
Because you already had kids also have some energy to explain. So I think we could just start. And put an concept if you were to do the same thing on the beach. Would you have taken a moment to come or would you have
to show that how that is attracting their body, we can just bring it is not possible to do we can actually explain that during the night time when they are going to sleep and sorry, evening
I like the idea of the activity, starting the activity. But it will also depend on how much we are ready to push them. For example, I'm just going to give you a rough idea of how so if you consider it, it's not a perfect space, it's like flat. Yes. And if you consider this to be equator, and India is very close to the equator. The tropic of Cancer, and this is where we launched the project, which is off the coast of India. Now, why does India have one of the cheapest space? Since we are close to the equator, whenever we launch a rocket into space, the gravitational pull towards the center of the universe is increased, which means when you're launching a rocket closer to the equator is not trying to really pull the rocket forward. So it requires a lesser thrust and fuel for the rocket to actually be towards the space. If we were supposed to launch the same rocket, say from Russia, which was closer to the pole, then it would have taken more energy for you to put the rocket. The rocket pole would have actually pulled the rocket down the pole. So there is greater force acting downwards and there is lesser force acting downwards. You could also bring out the fact that we are able to save energy just by balancing equation of the system. If that is an integration I want to talk about, because I think about yeah. I mean, I hope this subject is alien. Okay, so this is
section that they've done, then the lot that they've done, right? Things are so as a part, yeah, I sort of experienced how that I learn from each other. And also when I'm teaching, I observe them or analyze them. So what
so they necessarily have to come with some
capitalization, punctuation, references like
for them to know something. Because if they need this much, it's just that everybody has to be information.
Not necessarily. I feel like activities to document and then whoever is struggling like that to those activities, and make it buckets for it. Bucket for factual items that they can understand what it is. I did something hands-on and then I discussed my learning each teacher CF so check for understanding. But there's like any funding that we so then I also check for understanding.
So those space to build a talk about like integration partnership and mix
Folks, 5 more minutes and we should have something around each of these. And it's fine, after you, it's fine. Yeah. 5 more minutes to like think about purpose and integration.
I think the other thing is what is about. So gravitational predominantly is visible when you have two bodies of very high mass. If you ask them to think about, just give two objects. Why are these two objects not moving?
But if I drop
Classroom culture should be set for the overall success. What kind of classroom?
Now,
So,
phase two, extremely
like,
heavy
yeah, norms.
bodies.
Yeah, it could be norms. And also children should know what is different. And how what we are it's not like our favorite family, it's the same for whole class. So whenever children is the class, and children can also expect these things to children as a teacher. So there is this is how the classroom will look like. This teacher but I say expectations and then setting my goals and then setting
I mean, they should be very clear behind it.
and then how it becomes very the teacher wants to make it I want to teach on this like you learn something let's teach
So we've got purpose, we've got electrons, we need, we've got mastery. No, sorry, we've got purpose and mastery. I think if these things are done, how they can get
Same thing, I mean, I is looking at dropping it like this, and it's just dropping it like this, just push it to the body. And the same body, so the mass has not changed. So you could just talk about how change in surface area. But again, I'm trying to see how we can connect it. Is it going to be too wide to be discussed? They are given additional.
The idea was just to practice the living way. Okay, everybody's good. Thank you very much. I hope that was fun for you. I think it's fine if you don't have like a full-blown session plan. But what we'd love to do is, maybe you guys can go back to your seats. We'd love for the student group to share like a skeleton of what you were thinking of across these 5 questions, what you came up with the teacher group. And you guys are giving, the teacher group is giving feedback to them to say what do you like about their plan and what aspects of the 5 questions.
The mic is off. You need to put it on.
Yeah. So maybe, and then we'll switch. So then
Yeah,
the teacher group can share their plan and then you guys can give feedback. Yeah? Alright, quick, maybe a minute, quick summary of like what you guys came up with. What is the topic you picked? And which 5 questions were you guys doing? Yeah.
So I'll first start with what we discussed under purpose. Purpose is for them to understand why they have to learn gravitation. Started with a simple activity. We jump.
Yeah.
What made us come back down and what made us not fly into space. And because of that, we're able to walk, run, do all our activities, which is also keeping us safe on the ground. Then we went into integration. Under integration, where are we really finding this useful for us, others in India? The larger aspect of gravitation comes from the fact that India has one of the most economical space programs of the world, simply because of our geographical location. We are closer to the equator, so the gravitational pull a rocket a rocket. Yeah. So the gravitational pull around the equator is the least, while at the poles it's the highest because the Earth is slightly flattened at the poles. So when we launch a rocket, it takes lesser thrust and fuel, and the effort is going to be far lesser than what probably Russia or the US would do because they're closer to the Arctic. So it, which is, and someone also brought out an excellent point that a lot of countries today rely on India to launch rockets because it is far cheaper for them to do so. So this should also bring a curiosity to them, saying yes, India is one of the greatest countries to learn space programs from because it's naturally a very effective space. So we also decided we'd talk to them about certain launch pads that we have in India, especially around Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh, which is also a very strategic location because of our peninsula. Even if there's a rocket failure, it falls into the Bay of Bengal. It doesn't really land in any mainland. Partnership is to give them a slight activity and then help them develop curiosity. For example, we've always learned as kids that the Earth goes around the sun, the Earth revolves around its axis, the moon revolves around its axis, goes around the Earth and all of that. Just for a moment, let us assume that the Earth, the moon and the sun stop doing what they're doing every single day and then ask them what would happen and let them learn from one another as partnership. So if they're going to come up with things saying, okay, everything is going to be normal, we'll ask them why they think it's going to be normal. But in fact, theory says it takes about 18 days for the sun to swallow the Earth if the Earth stops going around the sun because of huge gravitational force. The other thing that we also need to understand is every body anywhere in the universe would experience some force of attraction. For example, I'm sitting here, the chair is sitting there. We are experiencing a force of attraction right now. It might sound very silly, but in reality we do. The only issue here is we don't get to see the chair moving towards me or me moving towards the chair simply because our masses are not high enough for this to happen. But once you put in these heavenly bodies together like the Earth and the moon that are significantly big, they will want to move towards each other. Mastery is also trying to help them understand things that happen on a daily basis, and we took a simple example of that too. So for example, if I take this sheet of paper, if you take this sheet of paper and a pencil, and if I drop both, what do you think drops first? Pencil. And that's obvious. But if I take the same thing, and if I crumble this into a tiny ball, and then if I try to drop it, both will pretty much drop at the same time. Why does that happen? That also happens because while the mass has not changed, the surface area has become much lesser. And because of that, the air through which it's dropping does not have enough energy to push it back. Because the area exposed to air now has significantly reduced. Right? So, and he also brought out an excellent example about, you just want to demonstrate your example too? About, yeah.
If you compare this
Last minute, folks. Yeah.
If you compare this pad and the paper, the mass of the pad is so much higher than the mass of the paper. And if you drop both of them from the same height, the pad will reach the ground first. We all know that. And what if we are going to demonstrate the two cases in front of them. So we are going to keep this paper under this pad, and we are going to leave this pad from the same height, and we'll ask the same question: what will reach the ground first? Obviously, they will say the paper will, because it is we are putting this paper beneath the pad. But now, if we are keeping the paper above the pad, and now we are asking the same question, what will happen? Then it is the question on which they need to think. They are not going to give you the straight answer, because if I'm demonstrate it in front of you, look what will happen. Both of them are reaching the ground at the same time. Just because pad is removing all the air resistance which is paper is facing. Now if there is no air resistance, so the principle is saying, basically the principle is saying that if there is no air presence, if there is a total vacuum in the container or in a room, anything irrespective of the mass of that substance, all the substance are going to reach the ground at the same point, same time.
Very cool. That was like a quick 5-minute gravity lesson.
Yeah. Yes, can we do a bubblegum clap for them? Thank you.
Fantastic. A quick feedback for them. I can go. I think really loved I think the purpose, the integration, and oh, sorry. I think Siddhara's point, a lot of times we know why gravity is important, but really loved, I think, how all of you thought of how might kids be able to articulate, the fact that we can't walk, we can't run, we can't do many of our everyday things if gravity is not there. Loved the relevance to why India is has a great space program. I learned a lot through that. I think similarly with partnership as well, great example that I give them like a doomsday sort of a scenario and say, think about what might happen, how soon will it take. If I had to think of one feedback, I also thought really fun, fast and effective, right? I wanted to be in this class. I wanted this to go on for another 15-20 minutes. And I've been in Varun's class 10 years ago, and I've always felt, today I felt like, wow, what a great teacher he is. And I think one thing I think of is, when you're thinking of mastery, are you thinking of how might they demonstrate what they've learned in this particular lesson? One way of thinking of it is, of course, assessment. Like at the end of it, how will you assess the knowledge that they have got through the lesson? But what might them demonstrating it inside and outside of classroom, that's something I would think about. But any quick feedback for them, anything on your mind for their lesson, 5-question lesson plan?
I think I really liked how they modified it. I think I really liked how there was a bit of scaffolding, as we call it, that, okay, that was the level 1 learning, and now as a child, I'm like, haan, meko sab aata hai. But now I do that, and I'm like, oh, wait, I don't really know. So that piqued my curiosity. So that's one feedback. I would be concerned about a bit of a cognitive overload, but I also know this was a 5-minute session. So yeah, this over 40 minutes would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, actually that was great, but I also liked how they really used stuff that was really around them, right? Like kids' everyday stuff. Okay, for the interest of time, we're going to move on. Quickly, if you guys can share in about 2-3 minutes, what is the session plan that you had aligned to the 5 questions? And then you guys are, I think, listening and giving feedback. Yeah. Here you go, here you go.
So hi, we're the teacher group. So our goal was, we chose classroom behavior. So how do we create more engaging and universal lesson plans? That's the objective we are going at for teachers. Now the session starts with a bit of a reflection to build the purpose. Why do you do what you do? That can you think of 2 students in your classroom who are maybe not engaging with your plan? Maybe they are talking to others, maybe they are disrupting your classroom. Can you think of them? Now if the teachers thought about it, can you think of why they are doing that? So the teachers can come up with separate things, etc. And third things, what are your evidences? Can you give me some behavior? So now we have this to pique the curiosity. The second part then goes into integration. That what is your ideal classroom? How would you like to change it? And how will it help you? So say the teacher comes up with, Acha, I wish all the students were engaging with my classroom. That would help me teach my plan better, make me feel better. So the integration part comes in. The partnership part comes in, then the method parts comes in when we are like, okay, let's talk about what are the possible scenarios. So how do you check for learning in your classroom? So if the teacher comes up with something great, otherwise we give them a couple of CFUs, we give them a couple of classroom cultures, that what are the expectations in your classroom? And then the third is the differentiation part, that, okay, are there students who are not learning because they are finding the classroom boring, or are there students who are not learning because they're finding the classroom difficult? So moving from a part of judgment that they don't like the class to curiosity that what is behind it. And finally going towards partnership and mastery, that what is preventing you to implement these methods in the classroom, because teachers know these methods half the time, but they're not able to implement it. So what is preventing you? And can you talk to others? So like a think, pair, share. Can you talk to other teachers to build that partnership? So yeah, did I miss out on anything? I think that's pretty much it.
What aspects of the 5 questions do you feel like they really thought about well? What might you give them feedback on? Yeah. Anyway, quick thoughts and feedback, yeah. I can, sorry, you weren't you? Yeah.
Just around the partnership, I just had just a follow-up question. So when you know something is not working in the classroom, I just wanted to know if we could also look at a case where we could also find out things that may work in a classroom through a partnership session. And just what we can really ask them to discuss, because they already know what is not working in the classroom. So having a similar discussion, I'm not sure if it's So
Yeah.
which then ways that we make work in the future. So I'm just trying to see if we could just look at it. It's just my thought.
Fair.
Like operating from a vision, like what's possible and what's there. And of course, like, yeah, and of course the current reality as well. Here is where you are, we know that's why we're doing the session. But like what might it take? Yeah, very cool. We'll move on. Satara, yeah, let's
So
go.
now, Teach for India, one very important word is reflection, right? So we're definitely going to end with reflection. The first thing is we would love to hear from you all actually in terms of our own session. And if we can just go back to the
1 second, yeah.
I haven't queried, but after this part,
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so if you could just go back to the 5 questions again, Revati. Okay, now if you could show me in terms of a thumbs up, side thumb or down thumb, if you felt that we were able to really create purpose and integration a lot in this session that we facilitated. So was it clear in terms of why we as a group must understand about effective learning and leadership, and was it also clear in terms of how it will help us, others or India? So if it's very clear and the purpose was very strong, you show me a thumbs up, sort of side thumb, and you didn't feel that came alive, it's a down thumb. Okay, so the group is like some of you all feel that it was very strong, some of you all felt that it was a bit strong. Okay, now if we come to, and if I have to club methods and partnership, can somebody tell me what is the method and where was this partnership in this session? Yes.
I think methods first. I think it's loud.
No, I don't think it's for the loud. That's the camera. It's for the camera.
Oh,
so when they record the session. So this is not a mic.
Got it. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
I think the methods come alive when it was fun when we all did this puzzle thing. So it made it really fun, and it was very effective when you asked us to. You didn't tell us like this is how purpose, mastery, and all going to be, but you actually made us to work with one, and that was very effective. So you actually let us do something, and partnership came alive obviously because we all sat together. We were all from different. I think a lot of fellows were there, some staff, some alumni, like a lot of differentiated thoughts and clarity. I think a lot of partnership come alive over there.
Absolutely. We did want to learn from each other and hear what all of you all thought as well. So that was where the method and partnership came. And finally, the last exercise that we did was one step towards mastery, right? When we actually implement these 5 learning principles or questions, that's when we know, again, what was easy for us, and we also got feedback from each other. So thank you so much for that. Now just 2 more reflection questions and then we are done.
Yeah. I think one, I think also would love to hear overall feedback for the session as well, for Sitara and me as well. What do you feel like worked for this? If you're thinking of this learning experience as like a 5-question, what does a 5-question learning experience look like? So what do you feel like worked for you? What might you do differently if you were the facilitator? Would love to hear some of that as well. Yeah.
I think what worked for me was that these 5 questions can be used.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think what worked for me was that these 5 questions could be universally applied anywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally, I could be like, oh, I want to have a difficult conversation with my parents. How do I do that? I might be like, what methods can I use to influence them? Maybe.
Why am I having this conversation?
Yeah. So just like that. So I think that's what I liked about the session.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think one thing that could have, probably would have helped me is, I think having a lesson plan actually that has these 5 methods embedded. I mean, just an example of how it actually looks before we come up with one. I think that would have helped, I feel.
Thank you. Yeah. Maybe a few more people before we move on.
Mine was more or less similar to that. So like we use this right now in DFI, right? So I find it really difficult to have the integration, to have like methods and everything, because in a class of like 57, how do you like get everything done all the time? So I think for me, maybe I know this is like an introductory session, so it's more or less just covering the basics, but having an example, like different examples for different topics of how this can really come into play, so that I can really like connect to it.
Thank you. I think one last thought maybe. I think, because I have to finish the session in about 2 minutes. I think these 2 questions, and maybe these are, if you have thoughts you can share, but these are things for you also to think about saying, and we spoke about this when we spoke about your own leadership, that as a leader, which of the 5 questions do you do well for yourself? But as you think of yourself as a teacher and a facilitator, what aspects of these 5 questions do you feel like, as a teacher, like I think Varun, I feel like will naturally gravitate, feel free to disagree if this is wrong, but like he'll naturally gravitate towards like making it fun, fast and effective, making it purposeful. So when you're thinking of what aspects come easily to you, what are those? And as a teacher and a facilitator, what do you struggle with? What do you struggle? Integration may be something you struggle for yourself as a leader, but it may be very easy for you to do it for kids. So I think those answers are different. So as a teacher and a facilitator, would love to hear what comes very naturally to you and what do you feel that you need to consciously and intentionally work on in terms of the 5 questions here. Yes.
I think so for me, like mastery, because I end up just doing, CFUs or like assessments, and I feel like I want to, have different types of mastery, because like in this little session itself, it's like an activity with a discussion. So it's like visual and, you're speaking with your friends. So it feels like less rigid. So I think working on different types of mastery in the classroom. Yeah.
One more response of something that you do well, and something that you feel like you want to like take away from this and work more intentionally and consciously on. Yes. Yeah.
I'll still go with the integration part.
Yeah.
Like, and when they shared how integration come alive, I felt like my bad. I've never done this kind of integration. I've never even taught this level of integration maybe so far. One thing that would really come well is, as I said, like methods and mastery, because I used to give a lot of differentiated worksheets in the classroom. So I feel mastery is quite set, but integration is something that I really need to work a lot. But yeah, that's all.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You all been very great audience. Thank you very much. And reach out to both of us if you need anything, if you need resources. We'll also have a follow-up since we have all the email and we can share that lesson plan that you're talking about. This and so you all know what we're doing.
Thank you so much. We had a lot of fun and hope it was